Every empire, every billionaire, every booming company all built on one invisible engine: leverage. Leverage means using something you don't own to gain what you couldn't achieve alone. It's how banks profit from your deposits. It's how real estate moguls multiply one house into 100. It's how Elon Musk built billion-dollar rockets with borrowed faith and investor capital. But remember this: leverage doesn't create strength, it amplifies what already exists. If you are wise, it multiplies your success. If you are reckless, it multiplies your fall. So, what is leverage, really? It's the use of borrowed resources, money, time, people, or systems to achieve greater results. There are many types. Financial leverage is borrowing capital. Operational leverage means using systems or employees to scale your business. Technological leverage is about automating what humans can't do as efficiently. And social leverage? That's your reputation, your trust, and your influence. See, leverage isn't evil, it's just a tool. It's a sword that can either build or bleed, depending entirely on the hand that wields it. Let's use a simple example: real estate power. Say you have $100,000, you could buy one small apartment outright. Or, you could use that same $100,000 as a 20% down payment on 5 apartments, worth a total of $500,000. Now, if property prices rise by just 10%, your wealth doesn't grow by $10,000. It grows by $50,000. That is the power of leverage. But here's the other side of the coin. If prices fall by 10%, you don't lose just $10,000. You lose $50,000. Leverage multiplies gain, and it magnifies pain. For a global lesson on this, just look back at 2008. The banks didn't collapse because they collapsed because they were over-leveraged. They were borrowing hundreds of times more than they actually owned, building these massive towers of debt on fragile foundations of paper. When housing prices dropped, that leverage flipped from a source of power to a deadly poison. That's the real danger. When you owe too much, you don't own anything. You're owned by your debt. You actually use leverage every single day, sometimes without even realizing it. A student loan is a form of educational leverage. You're borrowing against your future earning potential. A credit card is consumption leverage. You're borrowing from your future self to buy something today. A business loan is entrepreneurial leverage, a bet. But your company's just growth will outpace the cost of the debt. But here's the golden rule you must never forget. Leverage without cash flow is just gambling. If it doesn't produce an income that exceeds its cost, it's not leverage, it's a liability. People misuse leverage not because they don't understand the math, but because they don't understand their own emotions. Greed whispers in your ear, borrow more, the market always goes up. Then, fear screams, sell everything. The market is about to crash. Wisdom, however, says, use leverage only when you control both your mind and your math. This is why professional traders are obsessed with managing risk. Because in the markets, having the right idea but the wrong position can still destroy you if your leverage is too high. But leverage goes far beyond just money. It's a philosophical concept. When you mentor someone, you're leveraging your knowledge. When you build systems in your business, you're leveraging your time. When you inspire trust in others, you're leveraging your reputation. The greatest wealth builders don't just work harder, they design smarter leverage. Because true wealth isn't about what you can do with your own 2 hands. It's about what you can cause to happen without them. Using leverage demands character. It exposes your true self faster than money ever will. Because when you control more than you actually own, you face pressure that can feel like more than you can bear. That's why billionaires often live under immense, quiet stress. They're not just rich. They're responsible for billions in borrowed trust. The unwise only see the wealth. The wise, however, see the weight. Leverage gives you the right to grow, but it also gives you the duty to stay grounded. So, how to use leverage wisely? First, only leverage what you truly understand. Never borrow for something you can't explain clearly. Second, always keep safety margins. If a 10% drop in value can destroy you, you are over-leveraged. Third, only leverage productive assets. Borrow for things that generate income, not for pure indulgence. Fourth, diversify your leverage. Balance financial leverage with personal and technological leverage. And finally, always pair leverage with liquidity. Cash flow is your shield. Used correctly, leverage becomes the engine of your freedom, not the rope of your downfall. In the end, leverage is neither good nor evil, it simply multiplies what you already are. If you are disciplined, it will reward you. If you are reckless, it will ruin you. The poor avoid leverage out of fear. The reckless abuse it out of greed. But the wise master it out of understanding. Leverage is power, but power without control is collapse. So before you lift the sword, make sure you train the hand that holds it. Thanks for watching, and if you found value in this, please consider subscribing for more.